The healing power of silence. The first time Daniel stepped into the ancient redwood forest, he felt as though he had entered a forgotten world untouched by time itself. The trees rose endlessly into the sky, their reddish-brown trunks wider than small houses and older than entire civilizations. Sunlight slipped gently through the towering canopy in soft golden streams, painting the forest floor with moving patterns of light and shadow. The air smelled of damp earth, pine needles, and fresh rain lingering from the night before. Everything was quiet. Not empty quiet. Living quiet. A quiet filled with distant birdsong, the rustling whisper of leaves high above, and the soft crunch of moss beneath his boots. Daniel walked slowly along the narrow trail, afraid that even his breathing might disturb the sacred stillness around him. Ferns stretched across the ground like green feathers, and tiny drops of water clung to them like glass pearls. Somewhere nearby, a stream moved lazily over smooth stones, its gentle murmur blending perfectly with the heartbeat of the forest. For the first time in months, his thoughts stopped racing. No phone notifications. No traffic. No pressure. Just peace. He paused beside one enormous redwood whose bark carried the scars of centuries. Storms survived, fires endured, seasons witnessed. Daniel placed his palm against the warm trunk and closed his eyes. The tree stood silently, unmoved by time, patient in a way human beings rarely are. And somehow, standing there beneath its branches, he felt smaller, but lighter too. 3 days later, rain tapped softly against the windows of the old cabin hidden deep within the mountains. The cabin sat beside a quiet lake wrapped in fog, with smoke curling lazily from its stone chimney into the cold evening air. Inside, amber firelight danced across wooden walls and old bookshelves. Daniel sat beneath a thick blanket near the fireplace, holding a steaming mug of coffee between his hands. Outside, rain drummed steadily against the roof. Not violently, not harshly, just enough to make the world feel softer. The kind of rain that invites silence instead of fear. A lantern glowed dimly beside him while jazz music played quietly from an old radio in the corner. Every now and then, the fire cracked gently, sending sparks upward before disappearing into the chimney. The cabin smelled of cedarwood, cinnamon, and rain-soaked air drifting through the slightly open window. Daniel watched droplets race down the glass while the lake outside disappeared into mist. There was nowhere he needed to be. Nothing he needed to prove. No one demanding anything from him. Only the storm, the fire, the quiet. He realized then how exhausted he had become from constantly chasing noise. Noise from the city, noise from social media, noise from expectations. But here, surrounded by rain and wood and stillness, life felt simple again, human again. A week later, he found himself walking alone beside the ocean at sunset. The beach stretched endlessly along the coastline, untouched except for his footprints trailing behind him in the wet sand. Waves rolled toward shore in slow rhythmic motions, their foam glowing gold beneath the fading sunlight. The horizon burned with colors impossible to describe fully, deep orange melting into pink, violet blending into soft blue. Seagulls drifted lazily overhead while the salty wind carried the cool breath of the sea across his face. Daniel removed his shoes and let the water wash over his feet. Cold. Refreshing. Real. The ocean never hurried. Wave after wave arrived patiently, as if the sea understood something humanity had forgotten long ago. Twilight settled over the shoreline. Daniel stopped walking and looked out toward the endless water. For months he had been searching for answers, for direction, for purpose. But standing there beneath the painted sky, listening to the steady breathing of the waves, he discovered something unexpected. Peace does not always arrive as a dramatic breakthrough. Sometimes peace is simply a forest that asks nothing from you, a cabin that lets you rest, an ocean that reminds you to slow down. And sometimes, healing begins the moment you finally become quiet enough to hear the world breathe. Please follow our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.